Ghost noises! Alright you guys, what is going on? Welcome back to Roads Untraveled. We are in a 2004 Toyota Aristo with a 2J under the hood. If you guys don't know, the Toyota Aristo was the birthplace of the 2JZ GTE. Before the Supra, it was in the Aristo. So we're gonna go for a drive. I'm really excited actually. I've never driven an Aristo before. I've driven a Crown, I've driven a Chaser, a bunch of Chasers. So I have a little bit of an idea of what these kind of trickle-down sedans of the golden age of the Japanese market from the 90s and the 2000s are kind of like. But the Aristo is really executive, obviously sold as the Lexus GS over here in North America, but it has that 2J. So regardless, anything with a 2J, in my opinion, is gonna be a fun drive. So let's take it for a spin, see what it's all about. Okay, so before we dive deep into the Aristo, if you haven't already, definitely check out our shop.roadsuntraveled.com, and we have a bunch of engine code jet tags available there right now, including our freshly redesigned 2JZ GTE engine code jet tag. Just for this video, if you pick up a 2J, I'll give you 10% off. I believe we're also doing a bundle deal. If you buy 3, you get a discount as well. So hit the link, it's in the description. On with the Aristo. Let's see what it's all about. So this is a 2004 Aristo. The Aristo began production in 1991, I believe, and then ceased production in 2005. So there are a couple of generations of the Aristo, but the ones with the 2J are the ones that count, right? So the really early ones in 1991 had that 2JZ GTE, and it was basically, they developed this engine to compete and to go up against the RB26, which is kind of ironic because overall, and I hate to say this, but overall, I think the 2J commands a little bit more of a premium, a little bit more of a respect amongst tuners than the RB26. Just a little bit, because I think people assume it's a little bit more reliable because it is a Toyota versus a Nissan. So the 2JZ was in the Aristo first and then was brought over to the Supra. This, in fact, is actually on a Toyota Crown chassis. It is effectively the same car, or a very similar car. This is just the kind of high-end, luxurious feeling model of the lineup. And I'm telling you, it's quick. It's very, very fast. So there was a change in generation and exterior styling in 97. So from 97 to 05 is this generation, the more updated one. As you guys can see, this is a completely what I would call a modern or postmodern Toyota steering wheel. It has cruise control. I mean, it should have traction control. Definitely has traction control. It has a power mode. It has snow mode. So we are actually going to stick it in power mode. So apparently the turbo spools up a little bit more aggressive. It gets the torque figure right where it should be, which is 333 pound-feet of torque and 276 horsepower. But obviously, as you guys know, they were underrated because the gentleman's agreement. So this probably makes closer to 276 at the wheels, if I had to guess, if not a little bit more. And then obviously the torque figure at 333 pound-feet is very strong, and that comes on between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. So the 2J, while obviously being known for having big turbo, top end, kind of, you know, hot rodded out like camshaft kind of power, all top end, once boost hits, in stock form, it's really just a torque monster that sounds even better when you get it to the top end. That's how I see it, right? Like there's a kick down. Oh wow, it pulls really good. Like, I know this isn't really a sports sedan. It is, but at the same time, it is a large sports sedan. They were only ever sold with an automatic gearbox. So if you're not familiar with the Aristo and you're wondering, Marcus, why the heck are you driving a 4-speed auto on the channel? It's because this was the only option. Now, obviously, you can manual swap it. You could probably put the get drag in there from the Supra, but that's an expensive mod for an inexpensive JDM car. And that brings me to my next point. The Aristo is very affordable. So obviously, this being in 2004, this is far away from being legal in the United States. We're up here in Canada right now. So we've had this. Actually, this is pretty new to us, too. This has only been legal for about a year. Yeah, 2005 we're allowed to import now, 2006. We can almost get right-hand drive Lexus ISFs as well, which is very strange. But even still, this is a very modern car. It's got traction control. It's got sensors all the way around. And it's got, keyless entry and a few other things that make it kind of modern, stepping away from the super hardcore early 90s, like, R32 GTR type stuff. As well, so it is in manual right now. We can downshift with the steering wheel. It has a Tiptronic system on the steering wheel, it's pretty responsive. But it's this was like an early time for automatic kind of Tiptronic shifters, that weren't before dual clutches kind of became a thing. So you might see it on the screen here. You have 2 downshift buttons on the front and 2 upshift buttons on the back. So effectively what they're trying to get you to do is just use one of your hands. If you're left-handed, you use the left side to upshift or downshift. And if you're right-handed, you use the right side to downshift or upshift. But it can get confusing because if you're coming out of like a GT3 RS PDK, which has a normal Tiptronic or dual clutch paddle shift automated manual system or dual clutch system, and then you jump in this, you're just going to be upshifting all the time, and that's it, because you're just going to be hitting the back. So you do have to get used to it, but it's kind of nice that it is there, and it will hold the gears. The shifting isn't too responsive, but it's definitely responsive enough. Man, this is quick. This is really quick. And it's Toyota. You guys, it's a Lexus, because the Lexus name was not brought to Japan until later. So for the Japanese domestic market, it was their luxury car. And in fact, this car retains a lot of the little kind of quirks and little parts and random trinkets here and there that the previous owner in Japan placed on the car and installed. So actually at the pedals, you have Lexus branded pedal covers on there that the previous owner in Japan installed. So it's kind of taking the North American name and the North American manufacturer and putting it on the JDM car, which is funny because that's the complete opposite of what we do here. We think all the JDM stuff is cool, and over there they're like, oh, Lexus, we didn't have that, so it's cool. This is incredibly fast. Honestly, I haven't really even gone full throttle yet, and it's definitely making more than 276 at the crank. 100%. That is undeniable. Honestly, you guys, plenty fast enough, I assure you. Really light steering, very, it is a little bit more of a floaty car than you would get from something like a Chaser. I'll give it that. A Chaser is definitely much more hunkered down, lower, a more sporty driving experience, while still having the practicality of 4 doors and a turbocharged inline 6. With the Aristo, it's really about that executive feel. No, it's not quite the Lexus LS, so it's not quite like an S-Class competitor, but it is absolutely a target, or was absolutely a target, for the BMW 5 Series and the like from the German manufacturers, and a couple of Audis as well. So it is what it is. And I think for the amount that you have to pay for an Aristo, it's totally worth it. They're cheap. They're very cheap, you guys. These cars are not expensive, and when they become legal in the States, they will get expensive. So if you're in Canada, I would just suggest, if you're looking for an executive, comfortable sedan and you have to commute and you want an auto, I would really look at the Aristo, because worst case scenario, years down the line, you pop out the 2J, you get a shell, like an FC or something, and you stick the 2J in, and you've got yourself a turnkey drift car. Which is at the heart of it. I mean, that's what you're really buying here. You're buying an iron block, an aluminum head that has the letters 2JZ imprinted on the block. That's really what you're paying for here. And I think it's worth it. I absolutely think, especially for the money, you can't do better for an executive JDM sedan. I simply don't see it happening. I mean, Chasers are way more than this. You pay quite a bit more for a Chaser. Maybe a few grand more, maybe 4 or 5 grand on average. But it's really cool. I mean, it's got a digital display for what gear you're in. Fairly responsive. Like I said, it will hold the revs, and it'll tell you if you can't actually downshift, etc. But 4,000. Yes, there's the... You can feel when the timing switches over. You can feel when the timing switches over. Which is the greatest thing. All post-1997 Aristos and 2JZs had the VVTI. So you don't have to look at that and worry that you're getting an Aristo without VVTI if you get one post-1997. So you know you can sleep well at night knowing you have the most robust 2JZ available on the market. God, that sounds really good, even without an exhaust. Oh my God. A few turbo noises here and there. But it's one of my favorite things is that you really do have unlimited potential and you can make this into a sleeper. That's what I would do. In short, I would put a big single on it and this would be the Autobahn equivalent from the Japanese market. That's what this is to me. Put a big turbo on it and you can pull on people because with the 4-speed auto, the gears are a little bit longer than what you would have with a manual. So if you're going like 80 and you mat it, you're in third, it'll just keep going. You'd probably pull from 80 to like 160 in third gear if I had to guess, right? And I think the Aristo looks pretty good too. That's 100K. Yeah, so like I would guess around 4250, that's when you really feel that, you know, the cam's coming on and the power really starts to kick you. And then below that, you have plenty of torque and plenty of boost. Thanks, guys, for watching. This has been another episode of Roads Untraveled. Thanks again, Mac, for letting us drive your Toyota Aristo for the day. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast. I've wanted to drive one of these for a very long time, especially having owned a second-gen Toyota MR2. Obviously very different. It's kind of cool to see how Toyota progressed and what else they were building at the time. But anyways, if you haven't already, hit us up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled if you want to follow kind of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and see what we're shooting. You can DM me on there as well if you want your car featured on the show. So until next time, you guys, don't forget shop.roadsuntraveled.com. We've got all of those jet tags I was talking about. We'll see you then.